Hey everyone, it's Carolyn from True Crime Chat with Mommy Ramblings, and I'm here with a case that we've covered in our live broadcasts, but I wanted to put into its own video since this case is changing and new information is being released every day in the very tragic missing and then murder of Sarah Everard from London and the Metropolitan Police officer that was arrested for her kidnapping and then murder, along with some really troubling, updates to this case that are coming in. And like I said, it's an active investigation, one we've been covering in our lives, but our lives are long. And with a case like this, that's obviously going to be, evolving because it's a rapidly moving case, an active investigation. I want to bring you information on it and keep it into its own sets of videos so that people can easily find the latest updates on it. So again, I'm going to welcome you to our channel. Thank you for stopping in and learning more about this case, and our hearts go out to the family and friends of this beautiful young girl whose life was taken far too soon. Let's take a look at what's going on here. We're going to start at the beginning now here. 33-year-old Sarah Everard, a marketing executive. She was last seen on March 3rd, and she left her friend's house, which was on a busy South London street, just after 9 p.m. Her disappearance has gripped the United Kingdom, and so, people were really hoping and praying she would be found. She left her friend's house on Lethwaite Road in Clapham, and as she navigated her way through a network of residential streets, she was speaking with her boyfriend, Josh Loth. Their conversation lasted about 15 minutes, and it ended just before 9:30 p.m. On her walk back to her flat in Brixton, this walk should have taken her about 50 minutes, but video, CCTV footage from an estate agent's camera showed no sign of her. So she's believed to have taken a route across Clapham Common, and the ponds in the park were one of the first places that officers searched in wetsuits. And an extensive police search went on in the area as soon as, if she was confirmed missing. But on Friday, sadly, a body was found in a wooded area in Kent, which is southeast of London, that was believed to be Sarah's. It was then confirmed via dental records that it was indeed Sarah. And then another shocker, Wayne Couzens, an elite officer with the London Metropolitan Police Diplomatic Protection Command, was first charged with kidnapping and then charged with her murder. Sarah's remains were found more than 50 miles from where she was last seen. Now, there's an autopsy that's being performed to determine the cause and manner of death. Back to Wayne Couzens, he's 48 years old. His primary role was uniform patrol duties of diplomatic premises, and he was arrested in Kent on Tuesday. Okay, and then, like I said, first arrested on the kidnapping. Now, 72 hours earlier, he had another charge of indecent exposure at a McDonald's. I'll tell you more about that in a second. And then his charges were upgraded to murder. And there's also a woman that was charged with aiding an offender, and that is his wife. So we'll get into that too. Another twist in this is that officers have been seen searching an unused garage, which was reportedly once run by the Couzens family at the top of the White Cliffs overlooking Dover Harbor. Now, this garage was run by the Couzens family for 48 years up until 2015. Police are reportedly looking at the entrance to a network of tunnels blocked by a metal gate and a shelter underneath the garage. So that's really scary. A little bit about the victim, Sarah Everard. She comes from York. She studied at Durham University, and she moved to the capital for work around 12 years ago. She was intelligent and outgoing and worked for a company that organizes trade shows. Her brother James and sister Katie also live in London. Her gut-wrenching disappearance plunged her family into frantic worry. Her father, Jeremy, who's a professor of electronics at the University of York, and along with her mother, Sue, they left their home in York to join the round-the-clock search for their daughter. They asked the media and the public for help, saying, with every day that goes by, we are getting more worried about Sarah. She is always in regular contact with us and with her friends, and it's totally out of character for her to disappear like this. We long to see her and want nothing more than for her to be found safe and well. No piece of information is too insignificant. And Miss Everett's sister wrote on Facebook, no words, please share and contact me if you hear anything. Her boyfriend Josh begged people to help locate his beautiful friend, as he called her. Now, Sarah's disappearance and murder has inspired many women to speak out and share stories of their own, how they don't feel safe around the streets of London. And it's, turned into a huge share of things that have happened to women on those streets, and just a massive outcry for something more to be done to keep women safe. Sarah did appear to do all the right things to stay safe, and yet she's no longer alive. She wore bright visible clothing when she left her friend's apartment, and she had called another friend to say she was on her way, and she stuck to a well-lit main roads while she was walking, and she was abducted, and by a policeman at that, right? So it's just really unfathomable, that she did all these things, and in the end, it's someone from the police force that is allegedly responsible for this. So Officer Wayne Couzens appeared at Westminster's Magistrates Court on Saturday for his first hearing. He has been remanded in custody and will appear in court at the Old Bailey in London on March 16th. A little bit about Couzens. He joined the Metropolitan Police in September of 2018, where he joined a response team covering the Bromley area in southeast London. He then moved to the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Command in February of 2020, and his primary role was on uniformed patrol duties of diplomatic premises, mainly a range of embassies, according to a Met statement. Nick F. Grave, Assistant Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, said on Friday that he understood that women in London and the wider public, particularly those in areas where Sarah went missing, will be worried and may well be feeling frightened, and that Londoners could expect to see a rise in officers on the streets in the coming days. I know that the public feels hurt and angry about what has happened, and those are sentiments that I share personally, and I know my colleagues here at Scotland Yard and across the Met share as well, F. Grave said. A series of vigils had been planned on Saturday across the country, including in the Clapham Commons, a green space Everard walked near at about 9 p.m. the day she went missing. The Reclaim These Streets events were canceled after London police said the vigil could not go ahead, citing the pandemic restrictions. And that was the plan, but there is a vigil that did take place, is taking place now. And, that is being covered right now as we speak. Meanwhile, anger is building towards the London police for attempting to prevent Saturday's vigil from going ahead, and for the revelation that the officer in custody on suspicion of abducting Sarah had been arrested separately for an alleged indecent exposure in a fast food restaurant. It was a McDonald's 3 days before she disappeared, and I believe it's 2 times he exposed himself. Several lawmakers have asked the vigil be permitted to occur without any consequences for the organizers, who have told those participating to wear face masks and observe the social distancing requirements. The Reclaim the Streets group that suggested the event tried to persuade the High Court in London to allow the vigil to proceed without any legal repercussions, and the court rejected their challenge and refused to intervene. But like I said, I believe now there is a vigil occurring right now of some sort, and I believe they are just observing social distancing and wearing masks. But again, I believe that's happening right now. So that's all that I have on that at this point. Now, when Constable Wayne Couzens was in court today, for the first time, he spoke only to confirm his name, birth date, and address, and he was wearing a gray tracksuit. Charges were read to him during the brief hearing, and he was held in custody and must appear in London's Central Criminal Court on Tuesday. He also was found with head injuries in his cell in Wandsworth Police Station in South London on Thursday, his second night in custody, and he was taken to the hospital a second time on Friday. So that's the other thing with this guy. He beat himself up in his cell. I don't understand why he wasn't placed on a suicide watch, as is very common in this country. I don't know if they do it there, but you know, it's a good thing he just didn't kill himself, because then he wouldn't even be answering, you know, any of these charges and giving some sense of closure to the family. So he was brought to the hospital, and then it's seeming that he was brought to the hospital again, and that he's injuring himself in his cell. There was suspicion of Wayne Couzens, after a vehicle linked to him, reportedly a hired car, was allegedly seen on another motorist's dash cam near where Sarah disappeared on March 3rd. The police officer, like I said, is married. He was not involved in the search operations for Sarah, and it's thought that he was detained at his home in Deal, Kent, shortly after finishing a relief shift at the U.S. Embassy in Nine Elms, southwest London. This is around 3 miles from where Miss Everard was seen at 9:30 p.m. and a source claimed detectives believed Couzens may have spotted Sarah on the streets and abducted her using his Metropolitan Police warrant to persuade her to walk towards his vehicle. Scary stuff. Now, the working hypothesis is that he saw Sarah on the street for the first time. They don't believe, you know, he had any relationship with her, and that he kidnapped her. And that he used his influence as a police officer, his warrant card, to entice Sarah to come towards his vehicle, and that he could have used the pandemic lockdown as a way to engage with her and then snatched her, apparently, allegedly. The movements of Wayne Couzens' car were allegedly tracked by an automatic number plate recognition camera. And there's an insider that told the media that investigators were searching through electronic devices and social media messages to determine whether Wayne Couzens and Sarah were ever known to each other. And the source said that so far there's been no evidence of any link between the two of them, adding that you can't be 100% certain at this stage, but so far it's looking like he did not know Sarah at the time she was allegedly abducted by him. Detectives have found a micro SD card during the search of a semi-detached property, and there is reports that Wayne Couzens had recently been digging part of his back garden up to install a pond, and that's from neighbors who said that. Now, John Chidwick, 67, who lives nearby, said he had found some wood sheets that looked like Couzens wasn't using, so he asked Couzens if he could have them to build a manure box for his allotment, and he said that Wayne Couzens was very nice, a friendly bloke, and well-spoken. So, let's see, he hadn't been living on the road all that long, about 4 years ago, give or take, but seems to be a family man, as most people around here are. I know he's a police officer, is what this John went on to say further. Another neighbor said that Couzens kept to himself, but this neighbor knew him as a policeman, and he was shocked to see the police They set up a tent, he said, and they had been digging up the garden area. Now, earlier in the day, Metropolitan Assistant Commissioner Nick F. Graves said investigators hoped that Sarah was still alive following the constable's arrest on suspicion of kidnapping. That was on Tuesday night. Hours after that, we know that Couzens was rearrested on suspicion of murder, and it was a devastating blow for Sarah's family, who were absolutely distraught, as you can imagine. And there has been, just outrage to this, and just people wanting to know what happened to this young girl and this family that's just left devastated by this loss. And why would he do such a thing, right? And it's always why. More information about the investigation leading to these arrests were that there were plainclothes officers who were secretly surveilling Wayne Couzens' movements for days. And Sarah's uncle said that it's shocking and very upsetting. We were not expecting a development like this, and it's difficult to make sense of it. I found out that a police officer has been arrested through the media last night. I spoke to my brother straight away, and he was as shocked as me. The whole family is, and all our friends. I spoke to him again this morning, and we are waiting for an update from the police. The police are doing everything they can. We're grateful to them. We're expecting an update from them later today. I could never have imagined that the investigation could have taken such an unexpected twist. Now, again, that was right when Couzens was arrested that this was said. Scotland Yard referred itself to the police watchdog last night over the arrest of its own officer, and separately over the force's actions after Sarah was reported missing. David Ladd said he saw his neighbor being arrested on Tuesday night, and he added, I came back last night from a motorbike ride about 10 p.m. and there was a load of plainclothes police officers in the street. So that was that. He went on to say they had arrested Wayne. I saw him in handcuffs being put in the back of an unmarked silver car. Uniformed officers then turned up and have been outside Wayne's house ever since. Wayne himself, again, as we said, was a police officer. I'm sure, given the charges, they've at least put him on some type of leave. I'm not sure about that, though, but he said that he had a chat with Wayne about 3 months ago, although he really didn't understand what exactly in the force that Wayne did, what his responsibilities and duties were. He saw that he had a motorbike, and I had some problems with the exhaust on my bike, so this neighbor went to see him if he could help. He gave me a few tips on what to do, and we got to chatting. Now, there's a woman named Pamela Kane, age 77, who lives across from Couzens, and said the officer lived at the property with his wife and 2 young children and a little pug dog. She described the officer as very friendly and part of a perfect family. The whole situation is horrifying, she said. I can't believe this. The arrest is more shocking because he is a police officer. Wayne would also fix bikes in his garage, and he was known for helping people with them. Now, Wayne Couzens first joined Scotland Yard from Kent Police after working at a family garage repair business in Dover and doing a spell in the Territorial Army, said to have had an exemplary record. He once heroically rescued an elderly woman from her flat when a fire broke out, and that's the claim of a neighbor who said that. Now, his relatives leapt to his defense. His uncle, Kevin Fowle, saying it has come as a shock. He's never done anything untoward. There's no information I can give you other than he's a fine and upstanding man. Meanwhile, the heartbroken family of Sarah paid tribute to her, describing her as a shining example to all of us. The parents of the 33-year-old marketing executive told of their devastation after their wonderful daughter was allegedly snatched from the streets by a stranger as she walked home a week ago. Miss Everard's father, Jeremy, age 67, who's again a professor of electronics at the University of York, along with her mother, Susan, 63, traveled to London to help police in their search soon after Sarah was reported missing. In a statement, they said, "Our beautiful daughter Sarah was taken from us, and we are appealing for any information that will help solve this terrible crime. Sarah was bright and beautiful, a wonderful daughter and sister. She was kind and thoughtful, caring and dependable. She always put others first and had the most amazing sense of humor. She was strong and principled and a shining example to us all. We are very proud of her, and she brought so much joy to our lives. We would like to thank our friends and family for all their support during this awful time, and we would especially like to thank Sarah's friends who are working tirelessly to help." Again, that was before the gruesome discovery of her remains and that they were confirmed. That's all I have for you guys today. The developments are coming in. We will definitely cover the court date on Tuesday, what happens there, and any further developments in the search for evidence and what happened. Of course, also the autopsy results. And our hearts and prayers go out to Sarah's family and friends. And it's devastating. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a good Saturday. Bye-bye. Stay safe. God bless.